All right, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So here we are, week 2 of the NFL season. Uh, it's been a long week. Everybody has said their pieces about the Ravens, and we just move on to the next week. So now it is time to fully focus and lock in on the Cleveland Browns. It is the home opener for the Baltimore Ravens. They will be taking on the Cleveland Browns. They also will be celebrating their 30th year anniversary of the franchise being here in Baltimore. Obviously, we already know about Art Modell taking the Browns from Cleveland, moving them to Baltimore. Um, it's been a whole thing. In fact, that's been the focal point of this entire week. You know, the city of Cleveland's pissed off. If you've been paying attention, the city of Cleveland is pissed off. You got Browns media losing their minds, Browns fans heated right now and throwing a lot of hate towards us, which, I mean, you normally expect that to happen between rivals, but this one is really hurting them. They're taking this incredibly personal, which I don't blame them, but it is what it is. Even the players are taking shots at us directly. I mean, it's been that type of week. Cleveland has just been going off, man. And I'm ready to see how this game's gonna go. You got Jerry Jeudy saying there's no concerns or no issues in regards to dealing with the Ravens defense. You got these guys from that side just taking shots at our team. It's been quite the week. And I understand where they're coming from because we're celebrating 30 years of our franchise, and they're looking at this and saying it's disrespectful to them because that team belonged to Cleveland. Art Modell moved that team. He took that team from Cleveland, moved it to Baltimore, and established them there. And that was their team, and now they're looking at that team that used to be theirs. They went on to win multiple championships, and the new Browns team that came there around 1999 has not done anything since returning back to Cleveland. It's been that type of situation, and I think that's what makes it hurt even more for Browns fans and the city of Cleveland. The team that used to be theirs goes on to another city and wins multiple championships. Meanwhile, the Browns, this new iteration of the Browns, they have nothing to hold on to. There's been little to no success since they've returned. It's been horrible. The quarterback situation has been a mess, and they haven't even come close to winning a Super Bowl. So I understand where their animosity and hatred is when it comes towards us. Nothing you can do about it. It's not like the Ravens intentionally did this. The NFL is the one that really did this to stir up trouble because the Ravens do this all the time. They usually celebrate every 5 years of their franchise because they're still technically a young franchise. So they did this for their 25th anniversary, their 20th year anniversary, their 50th. This is usually what the Ravens do. They usually celebrate every 5 years for the franchise. That's kind of just what the Ravens do, and they've always been doing this. And that's usually what they do during their home opener for each of these seasons. And this year is going to be no different. It's just the Ravens happen to be matched up with the Browns when this happened. We didn't go up against the Browns when we had our 20th anniversary, so Cleveland couldn't care less. But because it is an anniversary that we're celebrating, and it just happens to be the game that we're playing Cleveland in, they're taking this immensely personal, and it's just been heated. That's essentially what's been the talk of the town the last 48 hours. Just the amount of anger that's coming from the city of Cleveland because Baltimore's choosing to do this, which again, they were already going to do this. It just worked out that way that you guys happen to be the home opener. And then you got Browns fans talking about, well, then move it to the next game. Why would they do that? They've always held this tradition. Get mad at the NFL for doing that. Anyway, I just wanted to, go off on that little tangent and just speak my mind on that because that's pretty much the focal point of this. It doesn't even feel like the game is going to be played for the sake of the game. It feels like Cleveland's taking this so personal that they have to win just because of what Sunday is going to hold. It's going to be a celebration for the Ravens being in Baltimore for 30 years, and it's going to be a spit in the face of every Cleveland Brown fan because that used to be their team, and we're over here cheering about something that was great for us, but something that was horrible for them because they lost that team. It got moved to Baltimore. They will always hate Art Modell for that. So yeah, it's going to be an emotional game. Then you take in the factor that Flacco is also on the other side, and this is going to be his return to Baltimore for the first time playing against us in Baltimore. So it's a celebration of 30 years of history for the Ravens, and then you have the former franchise quarterback in Joe Flacco, who won you a Super Bowl. He's coming back, so I don't know if they're going to throw some type of mini celebration or tribute video. I have no idea what's going to happen on Sunday. But it's crazy that this is happening, and it's happening with our former franchise quarterback coming back to Baltimore for the first time to take us on. It's gonna be quite the emotional game. And honestly, that's just the main focus, because the game itself, in all honesty, the game itself, there's not too much to talk about in terms of what needs to be done or what each side needs to do to try to win this. This isn't going to be an easy game if you think that's going to be the case. It's not. Cleveland has split the games with Baltimore in each of the last 4 seasons. We have not swept them in quite some time. They have found a way to win a game. Some of those have been in Baltimore, some of those have been in Cleveland. So there's a high chance they're going to steal one of these 2 games. Now, if they steal this game here in week 2 and the Ravens fall to 0-2, then there's going to be some serious conversations about, what the Ravens need to do moving forward. But yeah, if they steal it here, I think Baltimore would end up stealing it in Cleveland. If Baltimore wins on Sunday, I think Cleveland's going to get us at home later on down the season. I just think that's how it's been. The AFC North is so competitive that, it's never easy to win in the division. These guys play each other so tough, and it's so close in a lot of these games that it can go either way. And in this situation, I think it could go either way. Even though we all know the Ravens should be able to win this game, Cleveland is coming in with the intensity, and it looks like their defense, man, it may have returned to form. It's only week 1, but the way they made Joe Burrow look in week 1, I mean, that's a lot of good signs in terms of what that defense can be. And they should have won that game against Cincinnati, but the kicker missed multiple kicks. That's just how things go. Anyway, let's get in on this game. So Baltimore season opener, 30th year anniversary. Cleveland's gonna be just fired up with anger, and their fan base is gonna be rooting for our demise in the worst way possible. So here we go. Not much to really talk about here. It's getting very difficult to really talk about who has the edge when Baltimore has one of, if not the most talented roster in football. Like, what are we supposed to say here? Who has the edge offensively? Baltimore. They have the better quarterback. They have the better running back. In terms of their receiving core, Baltimore's getting the edge right now. That includes the receivers and the tight ends. Baltimore's getting the edge right now. So, they have a better offense. Defensively, from a talent perspective, Baltimore has the more talented defense. From a roster construction, from a talent perspective, because you got a secondary that's filled with first-round picks. So, from a talent perspective, Baltimore's got the better defense. But in terms of performance through week 1, Cleveland's performed much better than we have defensively. And they went up against the tougher offensive matchup, because as much as we want to, give praise to Buffalo and their offense, they're not the type of high-octane offense that Cincinnati is, because Cincinnati has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. When you compare that to Josh Allen throwing to Coleman and Shakir and all these other guys, it's not even the same type of offensive firepower. We lost out to those guys and let them drop 41. That defense shut those dudes down. Yeah, Cincinnati won the game, but they shut those dudes down. It wasn't a great day for T. Higgins. It wasn't a great day for Jamar Chase. It certainly wasn't a great day for Joe Burrow. That's what that defense did, and they put a lot of pressure and heat on Joe Burrow. He took some nasty shots in that game. And with the way our offensive line is looking, this could get nasty if they're not able to protect Lamar Jackson. So yeah, from a talent perspective, Baltimore has the edge and should be able to win this game. But we know with these divisional games, it can go either way. And right now, the Ravens just don't feel like a trustworthy team. This is the type of game they could definitely lose. We know what happened last year when they went into Kansas City, took on the team that knocked them out of the playoffs. They played an emotional game, came down to the wire, and lost by a toe. That loss was demoralizing, and because that loss was demoralizing, it ended up seeping into week 2, and they ended up blowing a 10-point lead against a Raiders team they had no business losing to. The fear is that that very same situation could play out this season, in which we suffer a heartbreaking, tragic loss. This time it was a choke as opposed to a game that came down the wire. We were going back and forth with Kansas City and trying to tie the game up. And in this situation, we were up by 15 with 4 minutes left, and we choked the game away. So a heart-wrenching loss like that could potentially linger into a week 2 matchup against a tough divisional rival, and we could get caught lacking, and we could end up losing and going 0-2. So nothing is guaranteed, and with the way the Ravens have played, this certainly cannot be trusted. So anything can happen on Sunday. But despite me saying all this is still the Ravens. They still do have one of the best rosters, if not the best roster in the NFL. You've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best running backs in the league. They got a plethora of talent. And if the defense can just look decent for 60 minutes, the Ravens are going to win this game. So, in terms of this game as a whole, how do I see it going? Offensively, I expect much of the same for the Ravens. in terms of the offensive showcasing that they showcased in week 1. Now, I don't think we're dropping 40 points on the Browns defense. I'm not Cincinnati, excuse me. Buffalo's defense isn't anything high to write off. I think that's an aspect they got to be very concerned with, because that could cost them as well. That defense for Buffalo is not good. Meanwhile, the Browns defense made Cincinnati's offense look relatively pedestrian at times. Even though Cincinnati won the game, it wasn't a pretty look from them by far. And they play these guys tough, and they play us tough. So despite the fact that I talked about the offense still being the offense, I just don't think it's going to be a 40-point performance. However, I don't think they need to drop 40 points to win this game against the Browns. I think if you're around that 25-point range, you could win this game. It just depends on how the defense is going to perform and how they execute down the stretch. Offensively, I expect Lamar Jackson to do what Lamar Jackson does. We're at a point in time where we don't have to worry about anything in regards to this offense. We know Lamar is going to be Lamar. We know Derrick Henry is going to be Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers looked great. He led the league in receiving in week 1, and I expect him to continue to do that in week 2. Rashad Bateman, I hope we're able to get him a little bit more involved. D-Hop shows that he's still got it. He's still making those one-handed catches. Mark Andrews, didn't see much from him in week 1. You might see something from him in week 2. Isaiah Likely is ramping things up, but he will not be playing in this game. Like I said, expect week 3 or week 4 for Isaiah Likely to pull up, but he's getting closer. He's not ready yet, but he's getting closer. He's starting to practice with the guys. So it's going to take a little bit more time. He may be ready next week, or he may be ready in time for the Kansas City Chiefs matchup. We will just have to wait and see for that. As for Patrick Ricard, we have no idea how that's going to go. But that's beside the point. The Ravens have more than enough firepower to win this game offensively. They have more than enough firepower to be able to put up 25 to 30 points against the Browns defense. The question is, will the Ravens defense show up, execute, and respond? Because this week, that defense has been getting absolutely cooked. John Harbaugh's been getting cooked, but that defense specifically has been getting cooked. It has been embarrassing to watch this Ravens defense play. I mean, they don't even feel like a Ravens defense. And that's why you get somebody like a Jerry Jeudy taking a shot at your defense, a very disrespectful shot, because you're showcasing that you're not built like that. These guys have played soft, and it's just not a good look at the end of the day. You blow a 15-point lead. You blow that in 4 minutes, and you expect any offensive guy to respect your defense when you give up 41 points to Buffalo? No. And yes, Buffalo is a great team, but they're not this highly immense, high-octane offense. And you're taking on the Cleveland Browns that are coming off of a game in which they played very well against one of those high-octane offenses in the Cincinnati Bengals, because they've got the weapons in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So yeah, it's very conflicting in terms of how this defense is going to perform. If there's any silver lining, they're not going up against Josh Allen here. You're going up against an old Joe Flacco that's not really mobile. He can still sling that thing, but he's not really mobile, so you don't really see him getting out of the pocket, escaping the play, and taking off. That's not really Joe Flacco, especially not at this point. He's going to be a statue in the pocket, so if you're able to get pressure on him, you will be able to get Flacco down. And it'll be interesting to see how they're going to choose to attack this guy, because the Ravens' pass rush last week was just non-existent. Now, the amount of BK broke free and got a sack, but that's beside the point. The pass rush in week 1 looked horrible. They couldn't touch Josh Allen for much of the game. It was a bad look. Catching up and getting an old Joe Flacco down isn't going to really change anybody's minds about the Ravens, but in order to win the game, that has to be the primary focus. So yeah, when we look at this team offensively, what do they need to do? Run the ball effectively, attack them in the secondary when we are able to win one-on-one matchups, and just execute the offense at an efficient pace, and you will be able to do what you need to do. You'll put up 25 plus points and have a high chance to win. Defensively, they just got to go out there and play like they care. Play with some effort. Stop looking so damn soft. Everybody has disrespected this defense. Micah Parsons disrespected this defense. Now, he wasn't trying to do it in the malicious way. He just used us as an example to showcase what you shouldn't be doing, because he was trying to emphasize the concept. Obviously, we all know about it. The very, very popular and correct concept of defense wins championships. So he looked at the Bills and Ravens game and said that's an example of a situation you don't want to be in, where your quarterback plays all but perfect, but you still lose because you give up 40+ points. So yeah, the Ravens defense has been getting humiliated all week, And with the way some of those Browns players have been talking about them, you feel like the Ravens defense, if they have any sort of pride, they would look to absolutely shut these dudes down. But who knows how that's going to go. Defensively, stop the run. Make sure you do a good job in cutting off anything in the secondary. Make sure you want to make sure overall, if there's anything you want to do, you want to make sure overall you're solid and staying in front of these wide receivers, because you don't want to keep getting cooked. But more so, you want to make sure everybody's fundamentally sound, because Flacco is not really taking off from the pocket. So you have a chance to really get this guy down 3-4 times. Speaking of Flacco, I don't know how he's going to look against this defense, but right now everybody's dicing up this defense. It's been kind of the thing last few years of watching the Ravens defense just go out there and look relatively pedestrian for no reason, and they shouldn't be looking like this with the amount of talent they have. But that's kind of just what the Ravens have been doing in the last few years, and they are off to a great start in showcasing that they're still that same type of defense that just can't get it together. So Joe Flacco may be able to put up numbers against us. I don't know how much numbers, but he's going to be able to put up numbers against us. Just keep that in mind. Overall, I think the Ravens are going to be able to win this game. They should win this game, but you know what, the Ravens, you can't trust them. I'll take the Ravens to win, let's just say 27-14 or something like that. 27-13, 27-14. It's going to be a tough game. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to do that because the Ravens can't be trusted. I'm going to bump it up. Let's just say 27-21. Yeah, I'm going to bump it up. I think the Browns will find a way to get 20 points just because I think the defense will find a way to create turnovers. Baltimore has a serious fumbling issue, and you know, they have not been able to address that and get that done. So there's a chance they end up getting a turnover or two that's going to help their case. So yeah, 27-21 Ravens. They'll win by 6. It'll be a tough, close game between them and Cleveland, but somehow the Ravens would be able to hang on. They'll probably be in the situation where they'll have to survive instead of being in the situation where they have to play to win, because Baltimore always goes conservative in the fourth quarter when they're up by double digits. So I expect John Harbaugh and this coaching staff to do the exact same thing they've been doing for years. Get up through the first 3 quarters, play conservative in the fourth quarter, play not to lose, and hope that God you don't choke another lead. That's basically how it's going to go on Sunday. Anyway, that's it for me. In terms of any stats, Lamar's going to have a couple touchdowns. Derrick Henry's going to find the end zone. Derrick Henry might go for 200 yards rushing, or he may be under 100 if the Browns defense decides to lock into him. But that means the pass game is going to be going one way or another. So hopefully we see another great day from Zay Flowers. Hopefully Rashad Bateman can get more involved, and hopefully we continue to utilize DeAndre Hopkins. Either way, I see the offense being able to put points on this team. And defensively, I think they'll make enough stops to be able to win this game, especially after the week they've had where everybody's just trashing them and just calling them soft, bums, trash, all this stuff. I think they're going to step up to the plate and get the job done. But we will have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for this one. I will see you guys when it's time for this game to go down Sunday afternoon at the bank, 1 p.m. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. I would love to say it's going to be special, but like at this point, with the way the Ravens have played, I don't even know if you could say it's going to be a special one. And it's the Browns too, so I don't even know if I want to label this as a special game. It's a divisional game. We'll see how things go. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out of here, guys. Take care. I'll see you later, and peace out.